Hi guys, this is Sam from Fluid Social, talking to you from a back alley in sunny Brick Lane. And today what I want to talk about is how to create a sense of intrigue and interest in a woman that you speak to in the daytime. Now there's a lot of information out there about push and pull and different ways that you can flirt and create this sense of interest. But what I'm going to do today is teach you a way to simplify this and to make it much more easy to understand and much more digestible for you to then go and use in your own interactions with women that you connected with before or women that you're just meeting in the daytime. So the first thing that you want to consider is the idea of information symmetry or asymmetry. Now, information asymmetry is a psychological principle where there are two parties and one party knows more about the other party than that party knows about them. And what tends to happen when there's information asymmetry? For example, in an interview room for a new job, the person interviewing knows more about you than you do about them. They've had your CV, they've had that chance to research. And so what it does is it creates an imbalance in authority. It creates a sense that one person has more power or control because they know more about you than you do about them, or vice versa. So what you want to do in your interactions is make sure that the information asymmetry is not balanced against you. Now, a lot of guys, when they go up, they feel a sense of nervousness when they've just met a woman. And so what they do is they ask loads of questions, or they say loads of stuff, or they stack, as the industry calls it. They keep talking until she's invested. And what this can do is actually have the adverse effect of allowing her to sit back, like the boss in the interview, like the interviewer, and watch you tell her everything about yourself, and you know nothing about her. Right? So she hasn't had a chance to tell you anything about herself, so she's in that position of power whilst you're sort of floundering, having told her your whole life history. So what you want to try and do as the person actually going and doing the approach is to make sure that there's a balance of information. Try and make there a balance, or if anything, make it slightly imbalanced so that you know a little more about her than she does about you. Now, most of the time when we're talking to someone, it's because we're interested in them. So when you're talking to a woman, you want to be focused on her. You want to be finding out about her. You don't want to be standing there just saying loads of things about you, because she's thinking, well, why is this guy come to talk to me if he just wants to talk about himself, if he just wants to tell me about him? I haven't come and talked to him. I haven't shown any interest in him. And it can come off as a little bit socially unintelligent or slightly egocentric, besides being less attractive. So what you want to do is make sure the impetus is on learning information about her. Now, one way you can do this is through assumptions. Instead of going up and just asking a load of different questions, where are you from, what do you do for work, how are you feeling, you make intuitions about that. You look at her and you assess her character, eye contact, and you say something like, you know, I get the feeling you're in the creative industries, or I get the impression you have a little bit of Latin heritage, or you have a little bit of European heritage, maybe Spain or Italy. And you try and figure out what you can know about her without having to ask the direct question, based on your own creativity and your own intuitions. And what this will cause her to do is want to talk a little bit about that. Maybe she'll wonder how you knew that. Maybe she'll go into herself and say, how did you know that about me? Why did you think that about me? And the focus will be on her, right? But what we said at the start is that we want there to be a balance. So how do you then balance that information when you're finding out more about her and she doesn't know as much about you? Well, you share information. So if, for example, I'm talking to a girl and she says she's from Poland, I might say, is it Warsaw or Krakow, right? I might investigate a little further and find out what city she comes from. And then once she talks a little bit about that, oh, I'm from Krakow, but I spent some time in Warsaw, whatever she says about that, you can say, actually, I visit Warsaw fairly frequently as well. Last time I spent 2 weeks there, and it was amazing to go to a country where people were so much more relaxed about the virus situation, or so much more relaxed about conversations in the day. You can make a comparative study of the culture over here in the UK or whatever country you're from, and the culture over there where she comes from. And having that sort of black and white comparison is very interesting. It allows people to actually discuss and analyze the differences. So the way to do it is to assume information, to have intuitions and make statements about what you think the information says about her, and then share information about yourself. Never too much, just a little brief story about where you're from or where you've been or what you like to do, and then leave some room for her to then investigate and find out more about you. She will invest in you, she will be interested in you when she wants to know more information. So for example, I had a client the other day, and I listened to some of the interactions that he was having in the coaching session, and he did meet a girl from Poland. And she said, he said, "Where are you from?" And she said, "I'm from Poland." And he said, "Oh my God, no way. I'm actually going to Poland in 2 days." And she responded, "Oh, cool. Which city are you going to?" All right? And so when I listened to that, I said to him, "Man, you don't need to overreact like that. If she'd said she's from Poland and you were like, cool, I'm actually going there in a couple of days, then she would have had that reaction of surprise and interest because you hadn't already soaked up that excitement and interest from the interaction. So by you reacting calmly, and when she says she's from Poland, you say, oh, I'm actually going there in a couple of days, that leaves her the responsibility of being surprised. That gives her the opportunity to express how unusual it is that she's from there and you're going there in a couple of days. But if you soak up all that excitement too early, then she's not going to react like that. So you want to give her the opportunity to show interest and invest in you by making these assumptions, using your creativity, focusing on her, and then sharing a little bit of information about yourself to balance it out. Rather than just asking questions, rather than telling her long monologues about your own life, or on the other hand, rather than staying completely silent and letting her do all the talking so she feels like she doesn't know anything about you and you might not be safe, you might be hiding something. It allows there to be that balance, that information symmetry, which, as we've discussed, is the psychological process by which two people can connect on a similar level, information symmetry. So you want to balance that symmetry, assumptions, focusing on her, sharing a little bit about yourself. If you guys want to learn this one-on-one from me in coaching sessions in the daytime in London or Rio de Janeiro, get in contact with me at admin@fluid.social and we can arrange a free call to discuss any questions, any queries you have. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video and hearing from some of you. Sam out.